In 2 Timothy 4, verses 2 through 4, the Apostle Paul instructs Timothy to preach the word. Be ready in season and out of season. Reprove, rebuke, exhort with all longsuffering and doctrine. For the time will come when they will not endure sound doctrine, but wanting to have their ears tickled, they will accumulate for themselves teachers in accordance to their own desires, and will turn away their ears from the truth, and will turn aside unto fables. These verses clearly indicate that there are times when gospel preaching is in season and out of season. History indicates the same to us. In the first century, in most places, gospel preaching was in season. In the Middle Ages, it was out of season. There was a thrilling season for the gospel in America in the early 19th century, while at the same time it was largely out of season in France and in Europe. In our own lifetimes, we have seen the same type of situations. Many listeners will remember the days when non-Christians attended gospel meetings in large numbers for no reason other than to hear the gospel. And we remember scores of baptisms and restorations, and this was not something that was uncommon in those days. But simple gospel preaching seems to have lost its appeal and does not appear to have much drawing power today. So what are we to do when gospel preaching is out of season? When people are more interested in education and entertainment and recreation and social activities than they are in being true disciples of Christ? What are we to do when the wisdom of the world has more appeal than the wisdom of God? Well, we are told that we have to go to people where they are, or we have to give them what they want in order to attract their attention, and then and only then can we reach them with the gospel message. Well, folks, on this basis, all kinds of gimmicks are used to entice the worldly. And many churches today have turned into little more than community centers and social clubs. They're more involved with ball teams and scout troops than they are with Bible teaching. The highways are crowded with their buses taking various age groups of every kind to amusement parks such as Silver Dollar City and Six Flags. Their advertisements, they read for the most part like a circus flyer offering prizes and free gifts and fun. But no promises are ever made of anything spiritual whatsoever. Others, realizing that the gospel is the power of God unto salvation, limit their activities more to preaching. But even here, appeal is still to the worldly tastes of our generation. If possible, preachers are obtained who have made a big reputation in sports or in entertainment, in government, or in some other secular venture. Otherwise, great emphasis is given in advertising to the educational attainments of the speaker or to his gifts as a dynamic, powerful, and eloquent speaker. But this problem of disinterested people is not one that is new. It existed in some places even in the first century. Paul said it existed in Corinth. He says, "For indeed Jews ask for signs and Greeks search for wisdom, but we preach Christ crucified, to Jews a stumbling block, and to Gentiles foolishness." 1 Corinthians 1, 22 and 23. Paul had the power to offer signs to the Jews and the knowledge to compete with the Greeks in worldly wisdom. The philosophy described above would have suggested advertisement of a lecture on the Judaistic philosophy in the Roman world. Obtaining his audience with this, he could then slip in a little about Jesus and the cross. But this was not Paul's approach. As he told us, "For I determined to know nothing among you except Jesus Christ and Him crucified." 1 Corinthians 2 and verse 2. Friends, human philosophy and human wisdom had no place in Paul's plan for the saving of the lost in Corinth. Preaching only the gospel, of course, Paul could have announced himself as Dr. Paul, a graduate of the University of Gamaliel, a noted author, world traveler, inspired and dynamic lecturer. Rather, he said, "And when I came to you, brethren, I did not come with superiority of speech or of wisdom, proclaiming to you the testimony of God. I was with you in meekness and in fear and in much trembling. And my message and my preaching were not in persuasive words of wisdom, but in demonstration of the Spirit and of power, so that your faith would not rest in the wisdom of men, but on the power of God." Friends, worldly appeals simply cannot save the lost. And to attach them to the gospel is to cheapen the good news of Jesus Christ. Yes, by these appeals we may increase numbers and we may make waves, but such individuals in the local church are liabilities rather than assets. As materials in God's building, they're classified as wood and hay and straw. And in 1 Corinthians 3 verses 10 through 13, the Apostle Paul warns against building with such materials. Friends, we need to stick with the gospel, that pure, simple, and beautiful message that was once and for all delivered unto us. If we will follow it, we will be saved. Thank you for joining us today, and have a blessed day.